Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dare Esports stream. My name is Mac Dewey. Joining me in the casting booth is the one and only TDS, and we have got some very exciting League of Legends action for you guys here today. It is the first open qualifier for the Proving Grounds here in 2022. Boy, I'm so freaking excited. TDS, how are you feeling about today's action?
I think we should get a drum roll. Maybe we should ask Dom to get one eventually. Maybe do more prediction magic so that it looks more fancy. But yeah, first PG, I'm excited. There should be some great matchups, and we need to
Yeah.
say that it's BO1. So it's just one game against this team, and it's going to matter a lot who you end up winning or losing against because that means your next opponent can be harder or in some terms simpler. Not saying that they would be weaker, but maybe
Yeah.
more easy for you. So it's going to be interesting watching how these matches end up going and how these teams play in the first day.
Yeah, it's really interesting how they go about trying to draft and prep for this kind of unique competitive situation. Really, it's all or nothing here. You've got 32 teams competing, looking to try to get to that sweet 3-win spot.
Yep.
And just, talking to Coach Sneezes before this was really fun. Dare, I think, coming into the whole Proving Grounds Open qualifier as a whole, coming in honestly with a little bit of an underdog mindset, underdog mentality, really hoping to prove themselves. And also Coach Sneezes, shout out to him, all about really promoting the players, putting them on kind of as best a platform as they can, really show off what they can do here with the limited amount of games that they have.
Yeah, and I think that's a great mentality to have, particularly because even though there has been, it's not necessarily a new organization or one that is uh, scared or unknown to the PG circuit, but it's
Yep.
certainly still a newbie in some senses in that regard compared to other organizations like Wildcard, like some of the universities that have been participating for a longer time. So I like the mentality overall because it's not an idea of we are going there without the idea of winning. It's we are going there with the idea of winning, but we know that we are not the favorites. So we want to perform up to our standards, but it's okay if we cannot win over these teams. We just want to show off that we can go on par with them. And I feel like that's the correct way to go because that's how you get noticed and that's how you keep on improving to finally become one of the powerhouses later on.
Yeah, exactly. And for the round one matchup here, we've got Dare Esports taking on Taco Gaming. Dare coming in as the 20th seed, going up against the 13th seeded Taco Gaming. Should be a really, really hype matchup. Looking at both of the rosters, I mean, I think you got some real star power, especially coming in on Taco Gaming, but don't sleep on
Yeah.
the Dare Esports squad. You got Enigma in the mid lane, looking really, really nice, as well as the whole roster, top to bottom, looks really fun.
Yeah, certainly. I think that there's some interesting players. Obviously, I mainly know of Enigma. We talked a little bit about this. I know a little bit more of Enigma because well, a backstory of TDS. I was previously trying to apply for much more coaching and analyst
Yeah.
positions during in PG, and I got to know a little bit of some players. Nemesis was one of those. Sadly, I wasn't able to be a long time in the organization that Nemesis was part of, but I
Mhm.
was able to see some bit of him, and I think that he's a player that you're willing to give your resources to because he does like to go for the flashy champions. Does like to go for the flashy plays, and he's a player that if you do put your back on him, he can carry. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's one of the ways that maybe there does decide to play. I don't think that you're more inclined to go for the champions like Galio in the mid lane for
Uh-huh.
him to go much more supportive style. You want him to be in the front foot. You want him to be trying to make the best out of his aggressive playstyle and make plays for the rest of your team to get the most damage out. Particularly now that there's a lot of heavy damage AD carries like the Jinx, like the Caitlyn, like the Vayne,
Yeah.
being much more powerful in the meta. I think that
Mhm.
this is the best chance to have someone else like go for the flashy plays, and then you have your safe damage dealer on the back dealing as much damage as possible.
Yeah, and speaking of some of those meta changes that are coming in and really kind of mixing things up for the new season, TDS, do you have anything you're kind of looking for
Hmm.
to make a big impact during the open qualifier matches?
Well, I think a lot of people know already about the Jinx. Jinx is one of the strongest AD carries that is out
Yeah.
right now. I particularly feel like it's the strongest. If you give away Jinx, you must have a really good plan because stopping that champion is hard. Apart from
Yeah.
the Corki as well, which also another great scaling AD carry that I've loved the variety of builds that we have seen from him. The poke build with Manamune, Hydra, and Ludens,
Uh-huh.
or just the normal AD build. Like those are great. I love playing that. Victor as well coming up. But I think we should go a little bit towards the bot lane again. Apart from the
Yeah.
Jinx,
Yeah.
it's the support position, and we know the amount of love that support players do give those engaged tanks and the safety that those provide. But the enchanters right now are in a spot that I feel people have finally realized that you can play enchanters even against those tank champions and do so much for your team. I'm expecting
Hmm.
Lulu, Karma, Lux with Caitlyn particularly, Morgana to come through, even though she's not that much of an enchanter, but she's still
Yeah.
almost in that area. I want to see Janna because I think that Janna is an undervalued champion. I think Sona as well, even with the nerfs, can still be valuable. And I just want to see much more variety in that regard because I feel like there's so much hidden potential in those enchanters that you can use even to boost your AD carries damage potential and the whole of your team even.
Yeah. Are there any secret little AD carry tricks that you have up your sleeve, TDS? Are you expecting any Twitch or Kog'Maw or something crazy to come out with some of these enchanter picks?
I've seen actually Twitch being
Yeah.
in the center of attention. Like I was surprised because I'm not gonna lie, I cannot hide this. I'm not a good AD carry player. I'm way too in the front to be a good AD carry player, and so I don't like
Yeah.
the role that much. But I've seen a lot of focus on Twitch particularly, and I feel like Twitch is one of those hidden gems that if you're truly not truly proficient, but if you understand how to play him with the
Yep.
lethal tempo changes, he does become a really good AD carry. So I feel like that's a champion that we should look forward to seeing play. And I think that that's one of the champions that you can send Yumi with. Like the Yumi
Hmm.
combos that people can look forward to, like the Ezreal, like the Lucian. Twitch is also a Yumi champion that I can see being played as well. So I would be hyped to see the Twitch come through. Kog'Maw is a little bit less because I feel like Kog'Maw is such a Lulu and maybe Karma champion, and then after that it just becomes whoever can play him really well. It's really hard to execute, so I don't expect much Kog'Maw. But I think Twitch we may see something.
And are there any champions? You talked a little bit about Corki and Victor in the mid lane, Jinx as well being a bit of a powerhouse in the ADC role. Are there any champions that you're kind of looking at them and thinking, if I'm not banning them away, I'm picking them, that kind of stand out to you as must either take away from my opponent or I'm going to try to pick up myself?
Most takeaway, I feel like with the amount of changes that we've had and the fact that it's been kind of a long time since their releases, people
Yep.
have kind of gone over them, but they're strong champions, and there's a lot of people that also do like to play them. I'm talking about Action and Vex, two
Yeah.
pretty much mid lane champions. I feel like Action and Vex have already cemented themselves as solo laners.
Yeah.
Action was supposed to be an AD carry, but he's on the mid lane, so that's great. And he can also be flexed towards top lane. So those are two champions that I'm expecting to see a little bit more. I'm particularly more in the amateur scene because I feel like in here we can see much more risky champion picks in the sense that if you do play with them well and if you're willing to go
Yeah.
for that particular playstyle, you're willing to take that advantage over your enemy team. And that's why I think we may see some action in Vex. Particularly, I want to see more Vex because I feel like that burst potential is always so fun to see, especially from a champion that was supposed to be anti mobility and instead is just a burst mage.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to see it coming through.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking to see how much kind of solo carry threat we get out of some of these solo laners. We talked about the rosters a little bit earlier for both of these teams, but I mean, you got Cozy in the top lane, Doxa in the mid lane, as previously mentioned for Taco
Yep.
Gaming, and we're talking about some of these picks like Victor, Corki, some serious late game threats that these players could really kind of pop off on, and we're really excited to see what kind of performances. There's been so much prep, a whole lot of scrims headed into this week, and so I know the players are going to be feeling a bit of the pressure. Really hopeful to see kind of how they do, how they adapt, who's going to be turned into a little bit of a diamond with the pressure, and who might fall. But again, I kind of want to emphasize with, even though there is kind of a limited scope to the open qualifier matches and stuff. TDS, you mentioned this, where if you get a win, your opponents potentially get a little bit harder, and if you lose, you might end up going up against one of the easier teams to maybe face off against. Throughout kind of the rounds, I believe there's going to be 5 here in the open qualifier for the first one to start off the new year. You are going to be facing off against teams with the same record kind of as you go further and further. So potentially in round 4, I mean, there's going to be teams sitting at 2-2 who desperately need that last win. And so starting off on a good note, I mean, this is when all the prep for the weeks, maybe some of it goes out the window, but hoping that some of it sticks to the wall and get some good results. We're waiting on the matchup draft to get started up here, but for the time being, TDS, we focused a little bit on the mid lane and bot lane with our discussion a little bit. What are your thoughts on the top and jungle roles headed into season 2022?
I think those 2 roles have been the more puzzling roles going to 2022. I think jungle always feels like that because there's always small changes or small adaptations that kind of disfigure the way that the jungle was. I think that this was the less changed jungle we have seen yet, and it still was changed thanks to the added new dragons and the fact that the Scuttlecrab lost a little bit of its power where it was previously. So now you as a jungler can have a little bit more variety in your pathing and how you do want to play around that. But still, it's one of those roles that it's hard to know what you truly can get out of the jungle because most of the times it's also paired up with what happens on your lanes. And I think that the change that top lane receives with the teleport, even though it's not going to take away teleport from the meta because teleport is such a good summoner spell, it's still something that does affect how you want to play around it. For example, the attempt on dives, attempt on ganks, how you play around the map with your top laner, and if you do want to put pressure on your top laner, because now I think that it's more incentivized to camp for your top lane, make him get ahead. And after 14 minutes, when the top lane, the teleport and chain becomes an actual thing, now you have a strong top laner that can move around the map and win the other lanes. So I think that that's something that some teams may look forward to with the idea of top lane and jungle as a whole.
Yeah, very critically, the teleport changes. I mean, it's hard to imagine it not having an impact on the players and the teams. For the first 14 minutes, Summoner spell is going to be constricted to only be used on allied towers. And so a lot for going back to lane. Maybe we see even the new teleport pop up in the bot lane. Maybe it's been used for some of the mage picks now for a while. And I mean, you are going to other lanes regardless with the teleport. So maybe a bit of a buff for some of those mages in the bot lane who are going to be picking up the summoner spell a little bit. And we are going to also be hopping into the live draft, ladies and gentlemen. The open qualifier, the first one in 2022 here for NA Amateur, is going to be starting off now in Dare Esports. Starting us off with an Akshan ban, not on their Rift, not taking the risk in this best of 1 TDS for the revivals to potentially tilt the players off the game. They're also, speaking of that Corki powerhouse, that is also going to be taken off the board.
I love Corki. I love the current Corki so much. Like, I cannot lie. I've been enjoying so much playing and watching that champion become pretty much a mini rumble in the later stage of the game. So I'm sad that it's taken away, but it makes sense. It's a champion that is so strong right now that if you don't pick it, you don't want to give it away, in all honesty. But overall, I feel like pretty understandable champion bans. We have now the Camille getting taken away. Camille, one of those champions that has been so staple in the top lane in terms of how good she can be, how safe she can be, and how valuable she can be in the later stage of the game, in the peak potential, and in the way that some teams play. So I like the ban away.
And it's so valuable potentially. I mean, you got the hook shot coming in over walls. The highly underrated ultimate, the Hextech Ultimatum, can really confuse. I mean, you get some invulnerability, I think, when you immediately use it. In
on cast, you get the invulnerability.
In the hands of these good of players, I can totally see it popping up on the ban list here. Taco Gaming, the final one, those Enchanter supports you were talking about, TDS. Lulu, and then an instant Jinx lock-in, first pick. Dare Esports immediately going for the powerhouse.
It's not unexpected. Jinx is in such a strong spot, and in the immediate answer, we talked about this as well. The Caitlyn is coming through. I think that we may see the Caitlyn look since it's one of the better pairings, but there's also Caitlyn Morgana, and I think Morgana would be a better counter pick since you typically want to know what is getting picked on the side of there before you actually go for the Morgana. But it ends up going for the Caitlyn, so we talked about these power picks on the bot lane, these two champions that have been so strong thanks to the lethal tempo changes and already getting first pick. I'm more interested in the fact that the Lulu was taken away instead of the Jinx, because I think that you can pair Lulu with anything, but Jinx alone can do so much damage. So that's kind of surprising for me. And the Lee Sin, okay.
Oh, Lee Sin getting locked in here for Trickster in the jungle for Taco Gaming. The Hecarim right now being hovered in response. Really fun. Lee Sin, a huge playmaking champion, really high skill cap, an opportunity here for Trickster. Lee Sin being one of, I believe, his more comfortable champions. The Hecarim going to be locked in here in response, TDS.
And okay, not yet pick, but yeah, I love the Hecarim pick as an answer, not only for the Lee Sin, but for the Caitlyn. Right now, we have seen, like we were talking about the changes in the jungle and how some of it's probably been the less impacted jungle that we have seen in a couple of seasons, and that also makes it that some of the champions that were priority in the jungle don't change that much. We see Lee Sin, the Xin Zhao, the Trundle being priority picks, but Hecarim was one of the champions that was slowly but surely getting back into a power spot in the jungle. And I think that I love this pick particularly here because against a Caitlyn that it's not necessarily the highest of mobility champions, and even if she goes for Gale Force, you can follow up really well with the Hecarim and now with the Tahm Kench that was follow up. So I like this idea to get those champion picks to kill the Caitlyn and allow for the Jinx to have a little bit more space, because apart from the Lee Sin, there's nothing yet that can threaten that backline.
Right now, Vex being hovered, another champion that entered our little pre-draft discussion there, TDS, and a burst mage that you talked about with a whole heck of a lot of potential is going to be taken away from Enigma. The mage player for Dare Esports looking to really show us what he's got, put his name out there, potentially a slept-on player, TDS, who I'm really kind of excited to see how he matches up. Doxa in the mid lane for Taco Gaming, a hype matchup, I think, in terms of mid lane prospects, in terms of just the pure 1v1 value. You mentioned it earlier. I think absolutely it's going to be kind of our lane to watch here as Akali is banned away by Dare.
Yeah, and a lot of mid-lane bans coming particularly from the side of there. It's Akshan, Akali, and Corki, obviously the Kindred being one of those as well. But now as well adding to that Hex and Victor, really attacking the mid-lane champion pool and trying to see what does each player can go for. I was talking about the potential from Syndra being one of the contested picks, maybe, from each of the mid laners, since I think both of them do like the Syndra, and honestly, mid laners do like Syndra quite a lot, so it wouldn't be surprising. But it's really interesting how much they're trying to make the pool be as small as possible. And it also, I'm also surprised that there's not that much focus on top lane from there, when you pretty much know that it's only the solo laners that are left on the side of Taco, and you already picked your top laner, so you're pretty much at risk of getting counterpicked at any point. And LeBlanc to add to that.
They feel comfortable with the Tahm Kench locked in. Taco Gaming likely gonna go for the top laner, just so you can save the mid lane counter pick, I imagine. Since Dare's already locked in the Tahm Kench, I mean, you get top lane counter pick with your choice of champion here, then you get mid lane counter pick in the next round. Is going to be Dr. Mundo, picked up for Cozy in the top lane. Now, TDS, how much carry potential do you think this Mundo has here in 2022?
Well, Mundo is an interesting tank champion in the sense that if he does well in his lane, he can pretty much run around and be unstoppable. But if he doesn't, then he becomes a champion that even though he looks tanky, he's not that tanky.
Yeah.
I think that it's the two versions of Mundo that you pretty much get almost always. And
Oh.
unless there's a lot of CC that Mundo can ignore or the like, which at least at the moment there does have, I don't think that Mundo was the play here. Or you needed frontline in some sense, so maybe that's the
Hmm.
whole idea from Taco Gaming. But I'm not yet convinced that Mundo was the sole solution. Like I could have seen, for example, in this game Anorn, since there's
Yeah.
so much range from the side of there. Like when you look
Oh,
at it,
absolutely.
there's so much range from there, and
Yeah.
a long range engage from Taco would have been great. But yeah, we are talking about this. The Syndra getting picked. It's just a champion that a lot of mid laners love. And as an answer, Sylas. Okay.
Wow. Okay, the
Ooh.
Silas locked in here for Doxa to go up against Enigma's Syndra. TDS, a very interesting matchup on my hand or on our hands, excuse me, for the first round. And I really like the point that you brought up here. So much long range engage on the side of Dare Esports. They've got the Rakan W ult. Tom Kench going into the river and launching up wherever he pleases. With the Hecarim ultimate, the Onslaught of Shadows. I feel like Dare Esports have got themselves a very, at least conceptually simple composition here for themselves. They want to engage as well as try to keep that power backline of Jinx and Syndra safe. What do you think
Yeah.
about this Taco Gaming composition on the other side of the rift?
I feel like conceptually it looks kind of similar to what there has, but I feel
Yeah.
like you pointed it out really well in the sense that one has an easier way to execute, meanwhile the other do need certain things to go in their favor because
Mm-hmm.
Lee Sin in comparison to Hecarim is needs to be able to get the Q, go in with the ward, and then get the kick to get the
Yeah.
most out of his value. So it's much more steps than you need to go for in the jungle, first of all. Then top laning wise, Mundo doesn't have any kind of gap closer. He just runs in. That's essentially it. And then
Right.
Sylas, he's depending on stealing a good ultimate to be able to dive into the backline, which I think for this particular game, he has quite a few. Like
Yeah.
the Rakan Hecarim ultimate for engaging, but even the Tam Kench and the Syndra ultimate to just go for targets can be really valuable. So I feel like Sylas gets an extra value there. But just in the burden of execution, I feel like there has a much more easy to execute composition and a bigger carry threat at that because
Yeah.
Jinx Syndra scale quite well. And in contrast, Kaylin is not a bad scaler, but it's not Jinx. And Sylas, I always value Sylas as a champion that it's great in the mid game, and with ultimates you can steal if they are great, it's great in the late game. But against Syndra, that is pretty much a straightforward burst mage, if you get
Mm-hmm.
stunned once as the Sylas, it doesn't matter what ultimate you steal, you're dead. So I'm kind of
Right.
worried at that part.
What's also kind of interesting to me, TDS, looking at these compositions, is that you've got a big range advantage in the bot lane here for Taco Gaming. The Caitlyn Karma gonna be having, at least I think, for the most part in the early game, a bit of an advantage on the Jinx Rakan
Yeah,
duo.
yeah, the range difference there is going to be important. Like it does affect how that matchup ends up working, and I feel like as long as Jinx Rakan doesn't misplay or don't go way too far forward, and the Jinx can get her farm up and keep up with the Caitlyn, it's going to be okay. But if the Caitlyn and Karma get control over the wave, that's what's going to get not only control over the wave, but get pressure over the Jinx and the Rakan, and they get complete control over what happens in the bot lane and allow for the Lee Sin to begin invading and the like. That's where you have to worry as the Jinx and the Rakan, and as the side of there.
Right, yeah. Do you, TDS, I'm wondering, between the new Drakes that have come in to the new season, Hextech and Chemtank, which one do you want to see here in round number one?
So as my fears hate of Chemtank comes through, I honestly don't want to see Chemtank. I don't like that Drake. It's just so tilting. I like Hex Drake though. I like the way that some people have used the Hex gates to go for
Yeah.
places, and I love. I have in memory one place, or at least one play from a Sejuani that went into the enemy jungle, cleared vision, and how is it called? He went behind the back of the enemy jungler and got the stun and got the kill. I loved watching that play because it's not something that you typically see. So I like that Hex Drake so much more
Yeah.
than any other Drake.
Well, it is certainly going to be an interesting match on the Rift. Let's hop into it, ladies and gentlemen. Round number 1 of the Proving Grounds 2022 Open Qualifier, the 20 seed. Dare Esports taking on the number 13 seed Taco Gaming. Let's get into it. We're hopping onto the Rift.
Yeah, and each team trying to make. I would like to see something cheesy. Not gonna lie, at the start. Obviously, it's risky, but it's one of the best ways to take full advantage out of BO1s that can be really volatile.
Let's see here in the bot lane. BMFX gonna have to back off a little bit. Does get caught by the chains, running under turret. The Trickster Shockwave from Lee Sin going to miss here in TDS. We see on the other side of the Rift, Cozy doing some solid defense here, slowing down Limo, Censored Mercy, and Enigma a little bit. As the rest of the team roaming back up here to help out. Limo get a little low and get another cleaver connecting. Doxa and Trickster roaming up. Sonic Wave does connect here. Enigma gonna be forced to flash here as Cozy, one after another. One more, no cleaver off the road there. Wow, a lot of damage and a burned summoner spell from Enigma. Dare Esports starting off a little shaky here against Tacos. They get the early game advantage.
Yeah, and honestly, this is what I was asking for. Like, it may look cheesy and it may look risky, but these small advantages may amount to something really later on in the game. And this level 1 from Mundo, even though he doesn't have that CC or gap closer to matter that much, the cleavers become impactful the more you stack them. So the fact that you were able to keep them coming and even force out a flash at the end, even though you missed at the end of the kill, it's still something valuable for a lane matchup that can be volatile. Syndra does get control of the push, but if you're not careful, you get ganked by the Lee Sin level 2, Sylas level 2 as well gets the stun, and you're dead as a Syndra. So you need to be really careful about that from now on.
We saw a little bit of a trade go in favor of Doxa there, hitting level 2 first, as well as the range advantage now coming through for the Taco Gaming. Doxa got to be careful in the mid lane. Gonna Kingslayer in for a bit more health. Knows Enigma doesn't have flash. Playing very aggressive here. Enigma forces the flash, though, out of Doxa in response. Wow.
And we talked about this. He's not a player that sits back. He wants to go in for the kill. He wants to go be as aggressive as possible. And forcing out the flash really nicely done.
What is he doing?
Oh no. Okay.
Now we have Limo here getting his red buff stolen. Trickster with a very aggressive path. TDS, this is kind of what we talked about with the bot lane advantage in favor of Taco Gaming. Now it's leaning into Trickster getting the red buff advantage over Limo.
Yeah, and particularly much more so against in this particular matchup in the jungle.
Yeah.
Lee Sin does need to bully the Hecarim, because Lee Sin is a much more early game jungler. He wants to impact lanes early. He wants to have action as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the Hecarim wants to farm, get level 6, and impact lanes. So this is something that the Lee Sin needs to do, and something that the Hecarim has to survive to get to his strong point after level 6 and during the mid game with his ultimate.
Limo there in the short exchange, actually using his Ghost Summoner spell, so Trickster just being an absolute nuisance here in the early game as Doxa going to get chunked down to about half HP there. TDS, I also want to point out really quick here, Guise in chat pointed out him and BMFX previously on Wildcard, I believe, together.
Okay.
Guise jokingly shocked that BMFX made the Dare roster here for the Open Qualifier. Jokingly, I think he's excited to play up against his former teammate here in the first round.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of trash talk. They want to get on each other's heads, and at least right now, it's Guise winning the battle, in my opinion.
Especially with the roaming help, his ability to demonstrate, hey, I can impact not only the bot lane, but as well as the jungle in the early game. Really well done so far from the Taco Gaming support so far. On the Karma pick, the Enchantress that you were kind of talking about with me before, TDS, that we might see pop up here in the Proving Grounds.
Yeah, and it's important. Ooh. Okay. It's important to notice that the Karma is no Morgana or any support that has that immediate CC, so setting
Yeah.
up for the traps is harder. Oh wait, the Ignite goes down.
Oh my goodness, that's gonna be first blood for the Kench! Sensor Mercy takes down Cozy in the top lane with the Ignite, but now Enigma in the mid lane doesn't have Flash, gonna try to get
Oh,
out,
he
gets
dies.
taken down by the Sonic Wave coming from Trickster. Taco Gaming able to answer in the mid lane.
Yeah, and utilizing really well pressure from the bot lane, it's pretty methodical. You get pressure down there, you get control of the wave, now your support can roam. And going against the mid laner that doesn't have flash, it's just a pretty simple equation. Go there, get the kill, get out. And it works out really well. I think that Enigma could have done a little bit better in setting up the stun for after getting hit by the Karma Q so that maybe he can set up a counter kill, but obviously in that situation where it's so close that you may end up dying, it's hard to decide. So at the end, sadly they don't get a kill back, but it's important what happened on top, because it's a great answer and keeps the gold as close as possible.
Exactly. You talked about kind of the nuisance that Cozy could be on this Mundo, especially when he gets to go in wherever he really pleases. Censored Mercy gonna kind of even things up a little bit, even get a little bit of an advantage for himself here as he was able to pick up the boots, so he's got the move speed advantage on the Kench. Really a strong point here, but with the teleport changes, it might be tricky to have him help out here near this dragon attempt started by Taco.
Yeah, realistically, I don't think we will see any teleports going down there. Like you're saying, teleport changes means that either you go to a turret, which is not ideal because it's way too much of a distance,
Yeah.
or you don't teleport at all, or you pre-Shen and play something else. That those are your options with the teleport changes. So I just think that Mercy wants to save that teleport, essentially either for before 14 minutes, which wouldn't make that much sense, or to get a better advantage after pushing the wave and be able to come back to lane immediately.
Yeah, it is a Hextech Dragon, the first one of the game picked up here by Taco Gaming. Dragon
Oh no,
rules
it's going
still
to be Chemtech, so
still pretty much the same here. After the first two dragons of the game, we'll get into a little bit of a crazy rift where the dragon soul of the game will spawn here. Potentially, for my excitement, I'm excited to see if it will be a Chem Tank rift for us here in round one. Would be quite a fun way to start off the 2022 season here in the open qualifiers.
yeah, and to start off with a crazy Drake like that, that means that whoever gets an advantage and gets control of the enemy jungle will pretty much dominate whatever happens, because that camouflage, for champions like Hecarim and Rakan, it's great to just be able to engage and initiate fights whenever they want.
Look at the wave control here in the top lane from Cozy, able to push Censored Mercy under the tower, and just with mid lane pretty much even at this point as well. Trickster taking down the Rift Herald. Nobody on the side of Dare Esports really too worried about this one.
Yeah.
Free objective going the way of Taco Gaming. Plenty of time left on the map before the 14-minute mark to get these turret platings with Shelly as that objective is picked up.
Yeah, and I'm probably expecting it to go towards the bot lane. It just feels like an easier turret to take down. You have your Caitlyn, your Karma, and they are tower takers in the early stage of the game. They take towers really quick. So I'm expecting that to go down there. But Trickster are doing a really nice job controlling the objectives of the map, utilizing the advantage that the laners are having, and making full use of that.
Right now we see Enigma in the mid lane. Not a lot of mana, no blue buffs getting thrown his way for the time being. Does even up the levels. Limo looking for a little action for Dare Esports in this bot lane. A little trickier now playing in around these bot lane ganks when you don't have your top laners potentially teleporting down in here before the 14-minute mark. BMFX gonna get rooted up a little bit here. Blossoms does get the knock-up. Onslaught of Shadows comes in. Luis gets destroyed here in the bot lane as Blossoms quite low here. Limo gonna try to Zork it up here. BMFX, can he get it? Yes, he can. A triple kill down in the bot lane for the Jinx. Dare Esports popping off.
Guess what's starting? The Jinx getting crazy. She's just
Woo!
killing everyone. 3 kills to start of the game. And she is a champion that ramps up really well in the late. But you know what happens when she gets 3 or the kills? That becomes quicker. And now she can carry even earlier than that.
Yeah, right.
Great way to execute from the side of there. They have the ultimates to pair up Rakan engaging the onslaught of shadows for the Hecarim. It just sets up perfectly for the Jinx to carry the fight.
Oh, Blossoms has got to be careful, able
Yeah.
to quickly dash away from Doxa's Silas there at the tail end of it. A huge dream play coming together for Dare Esports. We were talking about how much of a powerhouse this Jinx pick was going to be, and as you mentioned, TDS, this is going to be huge for Dare, but a Rift Herald in the mid lane getting placed down by Taco Gaming. They may be a little bit down, but they're certainly not out, as Lynx and Guise rotating up to the mid lane. You were talking about the Caitlyn Karma before here, and we see just how well they can siege.
Yeah, and it's important that Taco is searching for other avenues to come back because yes, you just gave away 3 kills to the Jinx, but you still need to move around the map, get those small advantages, and throwing down the Herald around the Caitlyn, I think it's the most important because it doesn't matter if it's bot lane or mid lane. As long as she can get the damage down the turret, it's easier to take down, and you can also set up for the traps if someone wants to come in.
Ozzy gonna be forced to burn Flash in the top lane, meanwhile, as he used the ultimate a little bit before, and he got put in the belly of Censored Mercy there. Wanted to flash out of tower range there. A pretty even game upon us here at about the 12-minute mark, TDS. We obviously know BMFX going to try to have himself a big game here on the Jinx. Who else from Dare needs to step up in this mid game?
I think it's the Hecarim. The Hecarim, we saw the good play coming through from the side of the bot lane, but the Hecarim is to find those kind of ultimates because those are the way to gauge onto the scaling and onto the Karma from ways and be able to destroy them. Even the Lee Sin it's a squishy champion that you can kill, so it's options that you need to find as the Hecarim, and that if you are able to get them, the mid game becomes better and better for their... Oh, it's Mountain.
A Mountain Rift for us in game number 1. Remember, 5 matches of the Open Qualifier will be played over the next 2 days. We've got round 2 coming right up after the conclusion of this match. The opponents, well, we're going to figure that out as we go along. We'll keep you posted as soon as we know what the round 2 matchup is going to be looking like in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. The second day of the Open Qualifier will commence. More insane League of Legends action to continue as we get to see just how well these teams can adapt into game 2, or day 2, excuse me, after a fun first day today of League of Legends action. Guise going to be controlling the bottom side vision a little bit as a Mountain Rift is going to make some unique little opportunities of playful vision on the Rift, TDS. Players have to be careful not to get caught out looking at those little rocks can mess up the visions a little bit.
Yep, 100%. I think that these rifts that alter the amount of places that you can hide in the rift are the best for engaged compositions. Because this means that it's harder to keep track of every member in the map, and that means that now you have more creativity to go for plays. And I feel like that just makes it better for their week. Night goes down.
Censored Mercy using the Ignite very liberally here in this Dr. Mundo matchup. We might get a fight in this bottom side jungle.
They're vision.
This is wild. Guise has spent almost his time in the river as he has in the bot lane so far, it feels like. But regardless, nothing coming out there. Limo safely gets to get his red buff. We see Taco Gaming unable to steal it a second time.
Yeah, and good for Limo now. At least doesn't get it taken away from him. And these are small things that you keep your red in your favor. You don't give it away for free, and you can try and respond. It's important for there because it means that they are still able to answer any kind of control from the side of Taco Gaming. Like, it's not like Taco can just run in the jungle and steal anything. Dare is ready to answer back, and Taco needs to be careful about any potential engage that they may face.
Teleport getting
Teleport.
used down here in the bot lane. Sensor Mercy gonna get rooted up. Lee Sin Shockwave misses from Trickster, but that tower's getting real low here, TDS. It is a 1v3 here as the Insect interrupts the dive under Trickster, locking down Censored Mercy, as that's gonna be a kill. Going over to the Taco Gaming bot lane, plus the jungle synergy.
Yeah, a little too positive, that teleport from Mercy, going down there, trying to save the turret, but staying even longer there. And it doesn't even use the great health, thinking that the Lee Sin, that they don't have enough damage to kill him. Great job by the Lee Sin to get the kill. And now 2 turrets in the blink of an eye for the side of Taco Gaming.
And it's the macro gameplay coming through here. The rotations that were made. Censored Mercy caught off guard here. Ball's missing. Stun doesn't connect. Doxa gonna try to escape his way. Everfrost, a lot of damage as the unleashed power coming from both mid laners, taking each other down. A 1-for-1 trade in the mid lane.
Yeah, but it was unleashed power by the Syndra and just pure damage by the Sylas. It wasn't even anything added to it. That was so much burst. And I also got to say that the execution between Limo and Enigma there a little bit scuffed, because Enigma misses the stun, even though Limo tries to push it back, doesn't answer really well, doesn't stack up the CC, and ends up making it easier for Doxa to try and survive long enough to get the trade kill. Could have been executed better, but at the end of the day it's a 1-for-1, and they even forced out the teleport out of Cozy Shroud, so they got the top lane turret as well.
Top lane, outer turret taken down by BMFX. In the bot lane, Taco Gaming able to take down 2 turrets, so overall, after all that craziness, TDS, we have a 1 turret advantage for Taco Gaming, and the kills turning out just about even, as in 20 seconds, the 3rd dragon of the game is spawning, and everyone from Dare Red is ready to contest this next objective.
Yeah, an important dragon to fight, because it is Soul Point. Like, you as Dare realistically don't want to give it away, and don't want to risk just giving up this dragon that may signify a lot later in the game, especially because it's extra resistances for each of the champions and the Mundo much more. But it seems that Taco is not going to particularly fight it. Sylas is still on top lane. Yeah, it's dead. It's gone.
Dragon secured by Limo. Doxa gonna continue to whittle down the top lane outer turret as we see the rest of Dare Esports looking to rotate, maybe make a play, but the rotations are there from the Taco Gaming squad.
Nope.
Cozy not going to be getting caught out just yet, and we see Taco Gaming now, TDS, start to get vision on the top side of this map. They've got a huge minion wave, but Rift Herald thrown down by Limo in the mid lane.
Yeah, getting control up there, but this Rift Herald signifies that they need to try and come around to protect this turret. It's taken out, and the Lee Sin and the Silence are coming through. Maybe we see a fight. Tamkich is not here.
Sonic Wave misses. Limo barely avoids a potential engage there from Trickster, as everyone from Dare Esports, they throw out the retreat flare.
Yeah.
They're gonna back off, as you pointed out, TDS, Censored Mercy not there around the fight. Limo has to be careful to not get caught out here, as a lot of vision control for Taco Gaming in that jungle area.
Yeah, and the fact that they are controlling the topside means that walking blindly makes it super risky. This also means that this turret is pretty much done. Yeah, they are able to take the turret and just run away. No immediate engage potential by Dare, because the members were really disjointed in the way that they were trying to come into the play. So it's hard for them to try and force a play out of thin air. And this just means that Taco is able to take the turret, run away, and try and go back to base without losing anything. Maybe Dare can take this turret as an answer, can be good, but yeah, I think they are scared for it. They are too scared for that.
I'm really interested to see the gold comparison between the EDCs, because Lynx is already on 2 items before BMFX. I don't know if it might have been a while since BMFX has actually been able to recall, but Lynx is keeping up with this 3-0 Jinx no problem.
Yeah.
As the gold lead slowly but surely actually growing in favor of Taco Gaming, even though it was Dare Esports making the big play early on in the bot lane, picking up 3 kills onto their Hyper ADC carry. This Jinx not quite really able to make a lot of noise, and honestly, TDS, with how this game is going, until the next dragon, we might be in for a bit of just a classic League of Legends, control the map, shove in those waves, and let's try not to get caught out here on the map.
Yeah, and particularly for there, I feel like that's their safest bet, although a little bit of fighting down up there in the top lane.
An ultimate use
Doxa?
here onto Doxa. Speaking of not getting caught out here, that's going to be the stopwatch, buying himself some time a little bit. The bot lane for
Doxa's
Taco
dead.
Gaming is
Oh,
here.
wait.
Rocket not connecting there onto Doxa. Doxa is alive. A huge
the
get on the
Freeman
weak
steal.
though, stunning up to Blossoms, trying to find a way into the fight here. Lands one charm onto Guise, getting real low here.
Guise.
Karma staying alive. So many shields. BMFX flashing over the wall, does find one. He's on a rampage now as Dare Esports in the top lane. They're finding the fight they're looking for here as they found 3 kills to start this one off. Lynx nowhere
four?
left to run. Dare Esports, they find 4 kills in the top lane and are now rotating over to the big bad Baron Nashor.
Yeah, and what a great fight by there. 4-0 at the end of that fight. The teleports now, after 14 minutes, they can go for that play. Trickster may try to pull up a trick and steal this Baron buff, but I don't think he will pull it up. There's enough vision to control. Tam Kinch over the wall. Smite is up. This should be a Baron buff. And what a fight from there. I loved how it started controlling Doxa and forcing so much out of him. The Sonjas at the start, Doxa wasn't even fighting. He had to run away. And the Sonjas was pulled off at the start, so it was an easier fight for the side of there. And after the Syndra was already in place, the stuns coming through, the CC that they were able to stack up, and even though Blossoms didn't get the greatest of engages and they didn't have an onslaught of shadows from the Hecarim, the Jinx was free firing. That flash from the Jinx was great, by the way. Going over the wall, getting that first kill is crucial, because that just means that the get crazy stacks out, and she can begin fighting like a super strong AD carry, and she pretty much won the fight after that.
Let's see, Dare Esports, after winning that fight and picking up Baron Nashor, they've got a Mountain Drake spawning here in 25 seconds, but Taco Gaming playing really well here. Get to the objective early, start trying to set up, but here comes the Jinx turn. BMFX melting down that turret here as the rotation now over to the objective begins. Censored Mercy, Onslaught of Shadows. They've caught out the bot lane as Guise gets taken down instantly. BMFX taking down his former teammate here as the Mountain Drake gonna be spawning up.
Yeah, this Jinx 6-0-2, another kill, and they see the champions in a small area, and the Tam Kench immediately engages. He doesn't fear anything. He knows that he can get a follow-up, and we talked about it. Easy to execute composition. You get in with the Tam Kench that is super tanky, and the follow-up is immediate. The Onslaught of Shadows was already in position, and the Rakan was also there. Oh, Doxa, can we run away? Yeah, I think he's fine.
Hiding in the bush for the time being. You got 5 Dare Red members in this bot lane, starting to siege it down. Unfortunately, that cannon minion not able to tank up the turret that much. Here we got another wave in as everyone's going to be recalling. Are they actually going to lose that mid lane turret, TDS? Lynx is firing away.
Yeah, more than likely.
It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, I guess, at the end of the day, as Dare Esports, TDS, what do you think? I don't know. They were a little unsure what to do in that scenario, but now we got a teleport flank coming in. Censored Mercy looking for a potential play. I don't think he's going to find it here, TDS.
There's not champions behind him, so I just don't think it's going to work. Yeah, it was a really... Oh, he's still going for it. He's still trying to go for it.
The bot lane manages to get off their recall. Lynx and Guise go back to base. Censored Mercy, meanwhile, he's just being a nuisance, I think, waddling around on this Kench. Doxa's in the bot lane. Teleport is available as Baron Nashor buff still online for Dare Esports. They're going to be in the mid lane knocking down their first inner turret of the game.
Yeah, so equaling pretty much the mid lane turret that they lost in the mid lane. But it's still a Baron buff that I think the side of Tackle Gaming was able to answer really well because they didn't lose that much. Their base is not broken, they haven't lost a lot of position in the map realistically, and even vision-wise, it's not like they're achieved that much.
Yeah.
So overall, I think that Taco responded really well. But for there, I think that this Baron buff was much more so of re-stabilizing the game, making it back into a spot that it's super winnable for them because the Jinx is a strong champion already, but she's still waiting on the IE, and as soon as she gets that, it's super hard to not die against this Jinx. And also the champions like the Syndra, like the Tahm Kench, will just become stronger and stronger. So I think that that Burn buff had that purpose, much more so than just trying to finish the game, was to make it back in a spot that it's super winnable for the side of there. And in the next important fight, which I think will be the next Dragon, because I feel like Baron buff is a little bit weak. Oh, wait, Doxa?
We might have another fight start out here by the Mercy. Doxa 1v1 this time. Tahm Kench gets put in the Sylas belly. He's getting real low. He gets knocked out.
Dead.
The tunnel there. Doxa picks up a kill on Censored Mercy. That's a huge pick, but no big objectives starting up just yet.
Yeah, the only thing that they can try and look for is trying to open this inner turret, which with a killing, it's possible, but it's still risky. They used a lot to try and kill the Tahm Kench. There's no ultimate on the Lee Sin, there's no ultimate on the Sylas either, so they need to be careful about what they try to force here.
Time and time again, TDS, I've been watching all these Abyssal Voyages get interrupted by a very well-timed Lee Sin roundhouse kick to knock him back, knock him out, and just create an opportunity here that Taco Gaming very much needed, but big power spike coming through. BMFX on the Jinx, 3 items completed. Is that Infinity Edge now in the inventory?
She's going to hard. She's going to hard quite a lot. Although, well, look at the bright side if you're a Taco Gaming fan. Lynx also has it. So at least 80 carry wise, you're on the same, around the same damage level pretty much.
Yeah. And funny enough, Taco Gaming with a 1 turret advantage only find themselves down less than 1,000 gold here at about the 27-minute mark. TDS, you got 2 big objectives about to spawn on the map. If you're Dare Esports, which one do you try to go for?
I think the Dragon is going to be the much important objective, but I can see why they wouldn't want to give up the Baron, because it is an objective that can try and open the base, and as a Caitlyn, being able to siege with Baron buff, it's going to be huge for them. So I feel like if Baron is an option for the side of Taco Gaming, you cannot give it up. And if Dragon is an option for both, you have to fight. So I feel like there just needs to be there to respond and be ready to fight if it's necessary.
They're doing a good job here, grouping up in the mid lane, staying together. We talked about this a little bit during the draft. Going to be critical for Dare not only to find their engage with the Hecarim Rakan duo, as well as Censored Mercy on this Tahm Kench pick, but they got to protect those carries. BMFX,
they need to
lot of damage in this Jinx, ready to unleash. Both objectives now spawn. Doxa with teleport in the top lane, takes down an inner turret.
Yeah, he's pushing alone, so I feel like you as there need to try and make something happen, because if not, Doxa will just keep on pushing. Although he's backing now, so they need to be careful about it. But there's just one word where Doxa can push. Oh wait.
Censored Mercy going to try to engage onto the bot lane here. Rocket coming in with the Scatter of the Weak. Now Cozy Shroud is in the front line. Everyone's safe. Dragon is down. Dare Esports, they get the objective, and they are immediately out zoning away Taco Gaming. They cleanly pick up their 3rd Mountain Drake of the game. One more TDS. One more for the Mountain Soul for Dare Esports.
Yeah, one more for Tahm Kench and Hecarim to have a shield that will stop them from dying, pretty much. So the next rig is going to be so important for Dare, and I like the decision making there. Force the play, because you don't know where Doxa is either, but you needed to pull something off, and they walked really well into the Baron, into the Dragon Pit, controlled the area, and got the objective really well. It seems like they're posturing for another fight.
You would think they got so much poke onto Limo, a good deal of poke onto Censored Mercies. There's the Scatter of the Weak. There's the engage. Doxa caught out, gonna try to buy some time. Blossoms finds a huge 3-man knock up into the back line. That's a whole
But
here
Jinx.
one rocket after another. So long, Queese. Oh, he dodges it just a little bit. Double kill coming through for Limo's Hecarim. Link
But
slowed
Lynx is
down
dead.
here.
Yeah.
It's a triple kill for the horse as Limo's Hecarim wreaks havoc on the back line. Dare Esports pick up 4 kills for the price of 1 as they're pushing
this
up the
be
mid
game?
lane.
It's
Trickster.
20 seconds, right? Yeah, 20 seconds for some members. There's still the Jinx, the Hecarim, and the Syndra. Temkins as well.
Huge
And it's
wave.
just a leasing.
Huge wave. They've got a cannon minion headed in as well. Trickster does
No
not
peek
have
either.
ultimate, does have flash. Going to try to get onto Censored Mercy here. Dare Esports, they're
seconds.
turning their attention on to the towers as Squeeze has respawned. BMFX going to try to finish this one off here. He's got 1 kill. The Nexus exposed. The Nexus
Jinx.
half health isn't going to get taken down. Dare Esports. Yes, they finish off Taco Gaming and start off the open qualifier for the 2022 Proving Grounds with a dub.
Yeah, what a way to win the game, team fighting wise. And Blossoms wasn't in the picture at the end of the game, but he was the reason they end up winning the game. What an
Wow.
engage at the end by Blossoms. See that damage. I don't know, the Mundo did so much damage, but the Jinx, such a huge carry performance, doing so much continuous damage as an AD carry. And what a game from the side of their... It has started a little bit dicey, but like we were saying, they never kind of lost focus. They were able to keep themselves up, and
Yeah.
at the end they won really well. Really great performance by the whole of the team, and I love the way that they executed on this composition and the way that they drafted for it.
Just a beautiful game coming out of Dare Esports. There were a few glimpses, a few moments of opportunity for Taco Gaming to try to come back into the game, but wow, the bot lane coming up absolutely massive, along with Limo coming in on this huge Hecarim pick. The team fights weren't even all that close between these two teams. The macro, the subtleties of the match was pretty much dead even, but when it came
Yeah.
to those team fights, Dare Esports showed up here in round 1.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like those team fights were defined by something we talked about in the draft phase. The execution difficulty from the composition from Taco, I feel like just made it harder for them to be able to pull it off. And they were doing a really good job. I love how you point out that realistically, the macro, the way that the game was going was really tit
Yeah.
for tat. They were doing a really nice job of staying even, being close, but the way that some of the fights went, Lee Sin never really found a correct angle to force a fight. Meanwhile, Hecarim just Onslaught of Shadows in. That's it. And the fights turned around really well. Same for the Karma, same for the Mundo. It just felt like the extra steps that the side of Taco needed to pull off were never there. And instead, there were ready to almost always answer correctly. And
Yeah.
I cannot stress this at all. Jinx, this champion, play it or ban it. Don't give it out. This champion is great.
And BMFX with a monster performance on the champion. It started off with that beautiful Hecarim gank into the bot lane that set up a triple kill for BMFX, able to carry through and finish off. I think, oh goodness, he might have had 8 kills. I think he might have gotten legendary here.
Yeah, I think
in
he got. I
round
think he
number
got
1.
3 at the end. I think he got 3 at the end, so he may have gotten the legendary at the end. I
Really?
feel like.
Really fun to see the Dare Red squad here pop off in round number 1 against the higher seeded Taco Gaming.
Yeah.
Remember, I was talking with Coach Sneezes. He mentioned before here that when his squad, they were ranked 32nd out of 32 going into, I think it was the Risen, one of their qualifiers that they hosted. They ended up making it out of groups here, so we'll have to see if this Dare squad looking really, really good here in round number 1, able to pick up 1 victory, at least out of 3 that they're hoping to pick up through the course of this tournament. They're also going to be facing off against another 1-0 team here in round number 2. We're going to be hopping into a quick break as we get all set up for that much awaited second match. Don't click out of that browser. I've been Mac Dewey in the casting booth with me, the one and only TDS. We'll be back in a jiffy with the next match. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dare Esports stream. My name is Mac Dewey. Still with me in the casting booth is the one and only TDS Cast. We
Woo!
are continuing on our coverage here of the first day of the Open Qualifier for Proving Grounds 2022. Dare Esports starting off with a win up against Taco Gaming, and they're going to go up against fellow 1-0 team, the one and only Golden Guardians Academy squad. Oh my goodness. TDS, what have we found ourselves into?
A test. Talk about a test on day one. The first game was a good victory by their gaming, but this was something that was bound to happen, right? We talked about this at
Yeah.
the start. When you win, there's less chances to go against quote unquote weaker teams, and you
Mhm.
begin going against the stronger seeds, the higher seed teams. For
Yeah.
example, Golden Guardians Academy. So it makes sense that it's them now, but it's also a hard test for there. Now,
Yeah.
there's a chance that the upset may be pulled off and they can go over at Golden Guardians Academy, but this is going to be a tough game for them.
Yeah. As well as we see Dare Red in the in-game lobby. They have swapped over to the red side, so it's going to be Golden Guardians on the blue side and Dare Red, well, on the red side. So that's going to be a switch up for them based on their round one matchup against Taco Gaming. They were on the
Yep.
blue side. They were able to blue one pick Jinx, and now that option here against Golden Guardians might not really be there.
Yeah, we're going to see an adaptation for their gaming in the sense of their pick and ban phase. We saw also from them banning away the action, as well as, if I'm not wrong, they banned away the Corki as well. So maybe
Yeah.
now on red side we see a little bit more focus towards leaving some of those up and taking away the Jinx if you really don't want to play against it. And I honestly feel like it's one of the bans that you now have to consider even more on red side, or you need to have a really, really good plan to stomp on the Jinx, because if not, we just saw what happened on their game. She can snowball really effectively, and at
Yeah.
the end of the game, I think that she didn't die, or she died just once in the whole game.
Yeah,
It was something crazy.
crazy performance there in game number one.
Yeah.
For round number two, the Golden Guardians Academy squad, just as a quick roster rundown for everyone, it is going to be Tony Top in the top lane, who we believe to be iconic
Yeah.
in the jungle, Ryoma in the mid lane, Stixxay at ADC, Chime at support. So there will be a bit of a delay to see the debut of, I believe Violet was the initial ADC planned here for the Golden Guardians Academy squad, an Oceania import player who I believe his team came out on top in the Oceania split as a whole previously, before now being transferred over to Golden Guardians. But it is going to be Stixxay facing off against BMFX and Blossoms in the bot lane here for Dare Red.
Yeah, and talk about a possibly hype matchup. We had BMFX that performed super well in the previous game, but now going against a proven 80 carry from the LCS, no less. So going to showcase what he can do in this environment, and if he can come out on top of a Stixxay, I think can prove really important for the trajectory of BMFX overall. I think that if he can showcase with Blossoms how well of a duo they can be, then I can see a lot of attention now going towards BMFX and Blossom as well.
Yeah, something I'm going to be particularly keeping a close eye on here in round number two, TDS, is going to be how Dare drafts around the bot lane, specifically the support role, because we saw in round number one a beautiful game coming from Blossoms on the Rakan pick. Really, really solid engages, but the early game looked kind of sketchy for Dare. I was nervous a couple times just how well we saw Guise on the Karma pick play around the rest of the map. Trickster on the Lee Sin jungle for Taco Gaming in round number one was able to really invade early on, apply some pressure to Dare, and I wonder if Golden Guardians are going to be able to kind of do the same thing here in round two, but to a cleaner and larger effect in the early game Or is Dare going to be able to survive the early onslaught? It will be really interesting, I think, to see what both of these teams are going to be drafted, especially for Dare now that they're going to be on a different side of the rift.
Yeah, and I like that you bring up such an important point in my opinion, because this is something that you would expect out of an academy team, right?
Yeah.
That in some areas that you see some other teams falter, they can execute a little bit better in comparison to where the other teams falter. So it is a good assumption, and it is a point that we saw there being a little bit vulnerable with
Yeah.
what they showcase later on. So it is a worry that I feel like they're either should have a better prepared opportunity for that, or should try and play much more early if they fear that that is going to be one of their weaknesses. I feel like Golden Guardians as a whole is especially iconic. If it's truly iconic, we believe it is, but we're not 100% sure yet. If it's iconic, I think that we may see a little bit of a more early game style jungler. I'm expecting to see either Lee Sin or Xin Zhao pick for him, or banned away from him, because I think that those two picks are going to be important for them. And I feel like in this game against Golden Guardians, if the side of there can effectively neutralize the early game pressure that we may see from Golden Guardians, then we may see once again the mid game, I don't want to say prowess, but the mid game potential that we saw from there. And maybe from then we can see that they can take away this game. I feel like that's going to be one of their strong points if they can draft once again for team fighting and play around mid game team fighting.
Limo in round number 1 on the Hecarim. Just constant ultimates that were so well placed, catching out critical members. He caught out the bot lane for Taco Gaming a handful of times that really kind of just set up the fights for a pretty easy success. BMFX on the Jinx and really Enigma on the Syndra pick. They weren't pressured a whole lot in those team fights. They just had to fire the rockets and the dark spheres away over on Taco Gaming, and with great effect they were able to pick up a very solid victory in round number 1. But round number 2 gonna be ripe with its own unique set of challenges, as we're gonna be geared up and ready to hop into draft here. Round number 2 of the first open qualifiers for 2022's Proving Grounds. Golden Guardians Academy taking on the Dare Esports Red Squad, hovering right now a LeBlanc band to get us started off.
Yeah, and it's a band that we already saw in the previous game, attacking Nemesis pool, attacking the mid lane pool. I'm quite surprised, not gonna lie, that it's the first ban. I think that there's quite a few champions that you typically find first, but certainly worrying about the potential damage that the mid laner can go for. And another one, Velcos this time around. That'll be surprising to say the least. The focus that Enigma is
wow! Yeah,
acquiring.
The Vel'Koz! Holy smokes, that's gonna be banned away. One of Enigma's maybe comfort picks, one of his signature champions gonna be taken away, as that Akshan that we talked about, TDS, at the start of round number 1, Dare Esports gonna be taking it off the board.
Yeah, and it's also the amount of focus towards mid lane. They don't want to allow Enigma to do anything, it seems. And also the way that they are attacking the pool, because it's champions that not only have good lane control, but two of them can roam really well. LeBlanc and Twisted Fate particularly are champions that you like to see moving around the map, trying to impact different lanes. And it's interesting that they are trying to focus on those champions. Like I said previously, I don't think Enigma plays a lot of Galio or should go towards Galio, so denying a lot of this potential roaming prowess from other champions that are much more flashy in a sense. And Corki ban away means that it's Caitlyn instead. Well, we saw Caitlyn being great against the Jinx in the previous game at the start at least, so I think that that's going to be the overall idea.
Now, I guess if you're Dare, you don't have to lock in the Jinx here. You can pick up some priority champions in the Jarvan before, because you can hold on to the Jinx maybe until Red 3, right, TDS? Hang on to that. I mean, they've already locked in the Caitlyn. This is going to be Stixxy's signature Caitlyn getting locked in on top of that. Wow, what a champion for Golden Guardians to pick up here. In Ziggs, the Red 2 pick here for Dare. Chime potentially going to get one of his comfort picks in the Thresh. Yes! Golden Guardians
the
Chime.
Thresh with the Caitlyn, though. It's not that it's necessarily bad, but
Yep.
I think that it takes from the lane control prowess that we saw from the previous game in the form of the Karma. But it looks like it's not going to be a Jinx game from what I'm seeing with the six. And okay, if this is double poke, I love this idea by there. If this is double poke,
Wow.
okay,
Okay.
I'm excited for this. This can work really well. And also, I do want to say, the idea of
Wow.
pairing this with the Jarvan 4 as well, it's great.
Yep.
Because you also now have a champion that not only can go in, but can lock people down. Which means that
Yep.
ultimate with double bombs, you have a really nice area control with this combo already. I'm loving this idea from there, not gonna lie.
And with kind of to build onto your point, TDS, with the Jarvan Ultimate Cataclysm, I mean, that's just the perfect setup for not only Ziggs, all of the abilities of Ziggs.
Yeah.
Just throw it into the Cataclysm.
It's beautiful.
You've also got potentially double bombs getting thrown into the Cataclysm as well to stun everyone up. Dare Esports wanting to put Golden Guardians into a crazy melting pot of combo potential here. A Tristana getting hovered. I don't think that's going to be the pick that gets locked in. What it is! TDS,
Okay.
what am I seeing from Dare Esports here in round 2? What? Oh my goodness.
It's mid. I'm surprised it's coming so early. But realistically, it's not needed for to be magic damage since we have Six and Cillian, so magic damage is
Yeah.
already covered. But Tristana, I can kind of get behind because you do want to get a high consistent damage dealer,
Right,
and the
right.
Tristana can fill that up. Against Victor, though, I'm not sure how good of a matchup that is. But yeah, I was thinking this. You pick the mid lane blindly, a mid lane that has a safety option with the rocket jump, and then
Yeah.
go for a counter pick in top lane. If it turns out to be the Jax, which I think that it's going to be the Jax, yeah, it does
Wow.
get
Yep.
picked. The matchup against Wen is one particular matchup where the advantage of Wen is having the Shroud, right? And
Yep.
when you don't have the Shroud, the Jax can go into the Shroud and fight you in there. So it's not like you get a completely huge advantage. It's going to work great against
Yep.
Six, Cillian, and Tristana. But against Jarvan and Jax particularly, it's not going to be that amazing. And
Yeah.
but one of the things that I do think GGS has in their favor is that I feel like this composition has much more leeway to fail sometimes. Like if
Yeah.
they misplay once, I can see them still being able to come back into the later stage of the game and surviving. I feel like their composition is much more volatile. Not that they don't scale well, but
Yeah.
if they make mistakes, like their mistakes can be really, really punished because Six is a really squishy champion. Jarvan from behind is not necessarily the greatest, and Jax, team fighting wise, is not the greatest. He wants to be in a side lane in a 1v1, and his power in team fighting, it's not the same as you would expect from some other champions, even from the Wen. So
Yeah.
this is a composition that you need to be careful about how you execute. But if you can execute, the combo is really great.
What I think is really exciting coming through from this GGS composition, you've got Chime on the Thresh, you've got Iconic on Viego. That is going to be a roaming nightmare for Dare to try to deal with. A whole lot of dive potential with the Viego passive, being able to kind of reset tower aggro a little bit if he's able to potentially flash in there with a W stun and lock someone up and then immediately try to get out of town. Dare Esports with a very kind of different composition, especially thinking about what they locked in for round number 1, coming out in round number 2 with a completely different look. What I believe is going to be a Zigzillion in the bot lane, right, TDS?
I would expect. I think that would be the better of the ways to place these champions around,
right.
particularly because the lane is longer, so the poke is can be much more meaningful, and the Tristan in a shorter lane can escape much more easily. So I feel like that should be the idea overall with the Six and the Cillian.
This is going to be fun. Let's hop onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Open Qualifiers Round 2 matchup. We've got Golden Guardians Academy taking on the Dare Red squad. Both of these teams sitting at 1-0, fighting not only for the qualifier points, that are involved here in the first open qualifier of the 2022 Proving Ground season. They're also fighting for one of those 16 spots in the closed qualifier that's coming up right after this open qualifier here. We see Golden Guardians are going to get spotted out here by Blossom, Zilean, flash for flash. Chime does have Hex Flash here on this Thresh. Going to be trading Summoner spells with Blossoms. What a way to start off round number 2.
I love this so much. And this is something that I talked about in the previous game as well. Level 1 advantages in BO1 scenarios where anything can happen and it's immediate and a loss can change a lot in the continuation of the tournament. It's really important to make the best out of these BO1 eliminations. And I love that Golden Guardians aggressively go into the bot lane, try and get the flash or get a kill out. They get the flash out of the Zilean, and you pointed out, there's Hex Flash on the Thresh. There's no flash. There's no Hex Flash on the Zilean. So escaping for the Zilean is now much more risky.
And with the range advantage going over to Stixxay's Caitlyn, it's going to be on BMFX to carefully use the Ziggs abilities to push the lanes. It's going to be a tricky lane to kind of manage the waves in, I think. Also do want to point out real quick, TDS, we've got Teleport Ignite on both top laners. So we saw Censored Mercy use that Ignite very
I want some
well.
Kills.
Yeah, we want some action in the solo lanes. Let's see if Censored Mercy can pick up some more solo kills. Oh my goodness, no. Chime with the aggression. Blossom's getting real low. The Ignite taking down. That's going to be first blood. Chime picking it up in the bot lane for the Golden Guardians Academy squad.
Yeah, and that was the risk that you cannot allow to happen as Blossoms. I think Blossoms, it's okay to be close to the wave proximity, but you have to play much more safely than that because you don't have flash and you died immediately after that. Nice attempt by Enigma, but yeah, it's a picture. It's hard.
Pretty much picture perfect on the other side of the rift though for Golden Guardians, as you mentioned, and as we saw an early flash burned out of the Zilean, and it almost looked too easy for Chime to set up that first blood as Enigma, a tough matchup, headed into Ryoma in the mid lane on one of the meta's current strongest pick, this Victor. Going to be very interesting to see if Enigma is able to pull this one out.
Yeah, and it's not only the Victor that is super strong, but also the rune that he's taking. The first strike, I think it's first strike if I'm not wrong. I kind of always forget the name. But that rune not only allows for you to get a huge amount of gold or a good enough amount of gold to keep yourself up in the game, but also quite a nice amount of damage to deal against some enemies. So it's a nice. Oh wait, he gets a knockup.
Oh, Ryoma's gonna try to flash this one away. The explosive charge, boom! Enigma picking up a kill in the mid lane. Iconic. Just gonna have to potentially drive by this one. Watch Tony Top though, TDS. The Gwen is in the area. If playing and casting League of Legends has taught me anything, TDS, I think it's always look at the mini-map. Look to potentially see who's coming around. Tony Top unable to make an impact in the mid lane, though. That's going to be a very important kill for Enigma on this Tristana 100%. Pick. Something maybe for Dare to snowball with.
Yeah, and I think one of the best champions to try and snowball earlier on is a Tristana. The other champions can just kind of scrape by. I think the other option would be the Jax, obviously, because he can be a great menace in the later stage of the game, but the early game is one of its weaknesses. And I like the attempt from Limo once again on the bot lane, but there's a guard. Where though?
The really solid flay coming through from Chime to just wreck any hopes of Limo's Jarvan getting in for a gank. Stixxay, gotta be careful firing away at those traps. Blossoms, double bombs, looking on point. But Chime with this Glacial Augment Thresh TDS, it just looks like such a pain to try to deal with the massive amount of CC that's coming out of this pick right now.
Yeah, I feel like that's just the new, any CC heavy support with new Glacial Augment. Like, that is great to keep on pressure, to allow for plays to go down in bot lane, and a gank setup in top lane, by the way. I think
Mercy getting real low. Ryoma's up here as well. There's Iconic just for safekeeping. Ryoma going to be able to pick that kill up and walk easily away from tower. That's going to be not only the kill going over, as well as the assist for Tony top, but Censored Mercy going to have to use teleport here, TDS, and he's
Yeah.
already missing a whole lot of CS.
Yeah, he's already behind, and we need to remember that this was a counter pick taken by Mercy to go against the Gwen. But Gwen has been doing a really nice job of how she has managed the wave and how she has taken the trades. I feel like
Yep.
the difference in the way that the trades have gone have made this lane harder for the Jax. And even though there's lack of jungle appearance from both sides, the Gwen has just been doing a better job. And now Thresh on the mid lane. We talked about this with control on bot lane. Thresh can roam. And now there's Risk on the other side of the map. Oh, the flash!
Flash interrupt onto the rocket jump. Chime with a
Oh,
potential
Enigma.
big play here. Limo trying to save Enigma here in the mid lane. Barely keeps him alive. Enigma doesn't even have to burn flash there, TDS, as a big play from Chime. Potentially looking
Talk
for the
about
kill.
calm.
Yeah.
That was a great flash by Chime. I really like the aggressiveness. We talked about him taking the Hex Flash. You can just go aggressive with thanks to the Hex Flash. And he goes in, gets a really nice play, but not enough control to kill this Tristana. And at the end, it's thanks to the Buster shot that you're able to survive at the Tristana. And even though Limo appears to keep a safeguard, the Tristana was pretty much safe after that point.
What Dare Esports is potentially going to have to worry about, though, and something we also kind of talked about before the draft got started, where they kind of struggled in round number 1, was the early jungle matchup, and already Iconic on the Viego. I think have a much easier time of impacting the game versus the Lee Sin pick that we saw in round number 1 that Taco Gaming picked up for Trickster. Viego now 20 CS up on Limo's Jarvan, and also, I mean, just gonna have a better time in fights versus the Lee Sin. You mentioned it, I remember, TDS, that Trickster never really found any kicks in those big team fights that went the way of Dare Gaming. Now, you look at Iconic, already level 6, might have a much better time capitalizing on where Dare is kind of lacking right now versus what Taco Gaming's approach was in round 1.
Yeah, 100%. The execution that Viego will have in this game, not only is it kind of different from what the Lee Sin had to do in the previous game, but it's also much more executable than that of the Lee Sin. So I feel like the fact that Iconic not only has the CS lead, but also is able to keep up his presence on the map, it's going to be important. And Chime.
I'm making plays all
There's
over
no
the
flag?
map. Limo, I don't think he has flag and drag. I think it got interrupted,
Yeah.
as that's going to be a kill. Going over to Iconic, a huge assist from Chime. And that is going to be Rift Herald, the first one of the game, also going over to the Golden Guardians Academy squad.
Yeah, really nicely done. And the impact that Chime is having over the map. You have control over bot lane thanks to the Caitlyn, and now you can just leave the Thresh to move around the map. Caitlyn is not threatened, and this is one of the things about this Cillian 6 bot lane. I like the idea a lot because it's a lot of poke that you can keep up, but the push potential, unless you consistently keep up the push, and the fact that the Cillian died, oh wait, ooh. Ouch.
Ouch is right, as
Ouch.
Enigma barely able to get away from Ryoma. Chime in the mid lane as well. I think Enigma might just be forced to back off here.
Yeah, I think that it's too risky to see around, especially because look at a little bit at the minimap. There's no vision around the top side, and a dive can be pulled off by the Viego. Oh wait, Limo?
Look at the
Oh,
vision
no,
control
no,
set
one.
up by Chime. Limo caught, interrupted, gets caught in the gravity field, gonna be forced to flash away. Chime just making impact moves all over the map. Gonna now set up the Golden Guardians for Dragon here, the first one of the game. Potentially gonna be picked up here by Iconic.
Yeah, and the setup that they had previously, control over the mid lane, control over bot lane, means that they now have open opportunity to go for the Dragon. And there's also a kind of weakness that I see from the side of there. It's that even though they had the Jarvan 4 that is a much better early game jungle than what they had previously in the Hecarim. The fact that they don't have almost any winning lanes, because even though the Victor died, he pretty much has control over mid lane, and on bot lane we know Caitlyn has complete control over bot lane, so it's not like Jarvan can achieve anything. So now you're leaving your Jarvan to try and move around the map, achieve something that he can simply achieve, and it's really hard for Limo to really showcase any early game prowess on this Jarvan. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with the early first blood that they got on Blossoms. Not that it changes a lot of the dynamics, but it makes it harder for the Zilean to be much more aggressive, to be much more impactful in that lane because he's scared. Oh, wait.
Engage into the mid lane. Enigma so low. Limo does get caught in the gravity field. Is going to be forced to back off. Rift Herald charging in to the mid lane turret. That's going to be only one more plate left standing. TDS, I think this is going to be the tower coming down as well as Golden Guardians Academy extending their gold lead. Oh my goodness, the tower hanging on. There we go, the gold lead. Almost 4,500 here. Only at the 11.5-minute marker, just about, as this has been a dominating early game from the Academy squad. A huge CS lead for Tony Top as he's been taking care of business. Iconic, Ryoma, Stixxay, all with big CS leads to start this game.
Yeah, and it's realistically not been really iconic having that much impact on the map. He has been doing his job of farming, but it's much more so on the laners, and particularly on Chime, the second jungler as well. Roaming after having
second jungler,
that's what I named supports that actually impact the map, second junglers.
Right.
Because he moved around, he didn't stick on bot lane, he didn't stick around with the Caitlyn that realistically had nothing to worry about with the enemy bot lane. She just stuck there and pushed a wave, and Chime was allowed to move around. We saw his impact. We saw how much he created space for the Viego as well. And oh no!
Oh my goodness, the Tristana so low gets caught by the Flay, and that's going to be Enigma taken down in the mid lane. Now Stixxay maybe going to get caught. Flashes away. Doesn't have Gale Force just yet. Doesn't have that added mobility. BMFX has to dance around the traps, and there's just not enough lockdown connecting there onto Stixxay. He gets out no problem, as here comes Chime, here comes Iconic. This duo so long together have they worked in the NA amateur scene, just taking names, now looking to take down the Dare Red bot lane here under turret. Ace of the hole coming in. They're trying to clear the waves. They're getting quite low. That's going to be the Chrono Shift coming from Blossoms. BMFX is alive. Nobody gets taken down. Dare Red survives the dive in the bot lane, but it is still Golden Guardians controlling the map. Censored Mercy on the Jax, forced to teleport. Now Tony Top, he's just going to be able to crash in these waves, TDS.
Oh no. Yeah, they survived the dive in a really nice way, but the knife is still stuck in their guts. They are just taking it full front. They are bleeding out of control, and they need to put a stop to that bleeding. That's the first step that they need to take before being able to come back into this game, because the lead alone is based off of laners difference, pretty much. It's not that much of a jungle impact, but it's just the laning difference that we have seen, and this would be a great first kill. I don't think they get it, but this would be a first great step.
Tony Top is going to avoid the Zilean bomb and pretty much everything Blossoms had to offer to that fight. Using the Shroud, he's able to take the explosive cone right over and try to fight another day. This gold lead, TDS, has just absolutely ballooned. Just a couple minutes ago, it was at 4,500, now extending into the range of 7,000 for Golden Guardians Academy, controlling the game so well, not really giving Dare Red a window into this game, a fight to try to take in at this point. Can Dare even win a fight? What do you think, TDS?
I think there's a good opportunity as long as they have numbers advantage. I feel like that's really basic to say, but a numbers advantage fight where they can kill quickly someone like the Victor or the Caitlyn can turn into a much better fight for the side of there, because one of the advantages that Dare does have that
BMFX taking so much damage, trying to clear the wave. Ryoma comes in, swoops. There's, I think, the bot lane dive that they were looking for. I mean, just looking at the positioning around the map, you have Dragon spawning BMFX, just wrong place, wrong time, gets caught out here. Now Golden Guardians, they have the numbers advantage that you were just talking about, TDS,
Yeah.
that's so important for winning these fights. With no Ziggs on the map, Dare Red forced to back off of the Rift Herald objective. Golden
think
Guardians
it's
controlling, they've got a look for a fight here. Enigma
Oh,
caught
Enigma.
out,
Oh, he
hit
got
by
it
the
though.
play. Objective is stolen here now by
Can they get a
Limo.
kill?
Enigma taken down. Limo barely able to get out. Censored Mercy in the middle of the pit. Doesn't get the eye. I don't think the eye is picked up. Another
no,
play.
again.
Chime is playing everyone back into the arms.
Six is again.
Iconic popping off here. He goes on a killing spree. That's going to be another kill as he steals another soul. Another enemy joining the ranks of the Ruined King here is Golden Guardians, now up 10,000 gold over Dare Red. Dominate around the Rift Herald pit. They had the numbers they needed. They had the gold lead. Now they're looking to continue dominating this game.
Yeah, and I think I understand the idea behind why Dare went so hard for the Rift Herald, and it's the bounties. The newly introduced bounties that give extra gold back if you are able to secure an objective when you're really far behind. But after you see the six dying on the other side of the map, and the amount of time that you're taking to take that Rift Herald into consideration, I think that you have to give it up because you're not quick enough to take it and everyone is collapsing on you already. We talked about the numbers advantage in fights, and Golden Guardians had always numbers advantage, both in that bot lane play that we saw from the six dying, and then in that fight in the Herald. I feel like the idea from there is correct. They need those bounties to get back, but the execution and the way that they go around it, it's what's... Oh no, Tristan. Oh no, Jax is dead, I think. Oh, another
Censored
flay.
Mercy. Another flay interrupt. How many abilities have been interrupted with Chime's flay so far in this match? That's going to be the ace in the hole. Not needed. Ryoma on a rampage.
Yeah.
As he picks up the kill on Censored Mercy. Now it's Tony Top in potentially a 1v3 situation. But is it crazy to think that I think he has the advantage? Not even a little bit worried. 4 members of Dare Red on the top side of the map. Someone's got to defend the base here, TDS, as recalls are quickly coming in. That's just going to be the mid lane inner turret falling with no problem, as Golden Guardians are going to continue to extend this lead as Ryoma picking up another inner turret.
Yeah, they need to protect the turret, and the member that needs to be there is the 6. Is taking that. Oh, okay, that was close. If the 6 gets to stop there, he dies. There's no shot he survives there. He's luckily able to come back, and he's the one that needs to protect the base, because he's the main source of wave clear. The Tristana can kill some minions, but she cannot go as close as to the minions, because we have seen Chime's Thresh just being able to get a hook after hook, and even the flay. So it's really risky for the Tristana to go too far forward alone.
Look at Censored Mercy. TDS, he's coming in with the flank TP on the Jax. Here we go. The fight maybe. Dare's looking for Limo's hopping in as well. Not a lot of follow-up with the Cataclysm. Ryoma melting through the back line as Golden Guardians are taking this fight easily. They've got the ace as a double kill for Stixxay. Means a clean wipe over Dare Red.
Yeah, and the idea behind that is to get the numbers advantage fight and win the fight as soon as possible, but the damage is not there, and the response for Golden Guardians was great. They were ready to answer that. Stixxay doesn't die, and as soon as Stixxay doesn't die, the Victor is ready to deal damage. He immediately kills off Enigma, and the rest of the members are simply not enough to be able to deal with the rest of the Golden Guardians team. I like the attempt, but as a last resource attempt, it may feel a little bit too late. With the amount of gold difference that is already on the Rift.
15,000 gold before the 20-minute mark. 15 kills to 1. Item advantages are starting to rack up here. Golden Guardians are pretty ahead.
Yeah, I think 15,000 gold is ahead.
I don't know if there's a way that Dare comes back into this one, but I'm going to enjoy this game of League of Legends for as long as I can. You see the Academy squad's going to be rolling over to Baron Nashor, prep the objective, prep all the vision. Blossom's going to try to do some light zoning, but he just can't extend up that far. Only level 8 compared to... Look at all the levels, TDS. for the Golden Guardians damage dealers. Everyone except Chime is above level 12, 12 or above. Everyone else, nobody's level 12 on the side of Dare Red. Now
Oh, and
Blossom's
Blossom will
caught
not
out
get
here.
there.
He's gonna have to use the ultimate on himself to rewind time and resurrect, but the root's there. Stixxay with the headshot as he's gonna pick up yet another kill. Actually, his first kill of the game. Go Stixxay. As Baron Nashor has spawned, and we'll see if Golden Guardians are even gonna need to press the trigger on that objective.
Realistically, I feel like they just need 2 members to take down Baron Buff. Like, at this point of the game, it's too much damage. It's 20 minutes straight. Realistically, Baron Buff would have died if not for the fact that it wasn't up when they lost the previous fight. So I feel like it's an extra for Golden Guardians that they probably will secure before ending the game. But I don't. Oh, okay,
Easy hook
Chime.
onto Enigma. He gets evaporated
yeah.
off of the rift as Chime is on a rampage. A huge performance for the Thresh Prince as he's popping off. That's going to be 2 kills going over to the Golden Guardians. Now opening up the base. 2 inhibitors exposed TDS.
Yeah.
I think it's the end of the world as we know it. BMFX gets exploded as Ryoma. Certainly you could say he's dominating on this match on the Rift. Tony Top going on a killing spree as he takes down his lane opponent.
And that's game.
Nexus turrets falling. Nexus now exposed as the Golden Guardians taking care of business here in the first open qualifier of the 2022 Proving Grounds season. That's gonna do it. Nexus explodes as Golden Guardians are gonna be moving to 2-0. A perfect first day for them here to start off the Unified Proving Grounds Open Qualifier. It's going to be 1-1 for Dare Red on the day. A good showing in round number 1. In round number 2 here, they just didn't have it against the Golden Guardians.
Yeah, it was a great game by Golden Guardians, dominating from start to finish. At the end, I typically say there's a wallet diff, but this was pretty much getting hit by gold lingots. That was the difference, pretty much. It wasn't even just a few it was gold lingots straight to your face. And we talked about this before the game started. We saw the weaknesses from the early game from the side of Dare in the previous game, and we expected, or at least say that if the mature teams do lack in some areas in the early game, academy teams should be able to pressure more.
Yeah.
And they did just that. 1 point of pressure that they had in the bottom lane completely opened up to complete control over the map, because Caitlyn Wynn was able to keep on the push in the bottom lane. Chime was freed up. Chime moved around. Second jungler of the team. You win the game with that, because Iconic wasn't even ganking at the start. He was just farming. So really well done for each of the steps in the early game from the side of Golden Guardians. And after a point, it was just pretty much being so ahead that it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, kudos to the Dare Red squad for taking this challenge head on. We know now that they were actually the lowest seed to get a win in round 1, so that's why they ended up going up against the Golden Guardians, who is the number 1 seed. As we can now see TDS for a very good reason here in the first open qualifier of the season. Show of dominance, a show of display. They didn't even need Baron, but they completely overtook the map. All it started at level 1. Before the minions even spawned, they got that flash off of Blossoms, and Chime zeroed in. He said, guys, let me take care of business. I got it from here. And that was that for the game. Who would you say overall, TDS, an MVP for this game and an MVP for Dare for the day on the whole?
Okay, so for from MVP from this game, if I have to select overall, obviously Chime would be my immediate candidate. The amount of pressure that he applied and the amount of things that he did around the map were great. If I take from the side of Dare, I think that Limo was sadly forced into a bad spot, but he started the game great. He got a first gank off into a kill for Enigma, but after a point it was really hard for him. So it has to be between Limo and Enigma for me in this game. And in the overall day, I think Limo. I think that he performed really well in the Hecarim, and even in this game that was kind of sad to watch, not gonna lie, he still had some good moments as the Jarvan trying to impact the game. got a kill in the mid lane, got a steal in the Herald in the mid game as well. So he
Yep.
tried to keep the game as close as possible.
Really fun action. I'm gonna say Limo too for my MVP on the day from Dare Red. We loved watching the squad today. Loved being able
Yeah.
to cast it. Thank you so much for the Dare organization for having us on here for today's Proving Grounds action. But that's gonna do it for day number 1. Stay tuned tomorrow. Same time, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We got day 2 of the Unified First Open Qualifier of the 2022 Proving Grounds season. 3 games, 3 more fun matches of League of Legends action for us tomorrow. Stay tuned for it. We still got some more Proving Grounds action going on tonight. So as our stream is coming to a close, make sure you stick around. Check out the other games that are going on. We got AoE slash Immortals taking on Ambition. I think that's the match we're going to be hosting. It's an absolute bloodbath. The Proving Grounds is going to be such great competitive League of Legends action. So we really appreciate everyone tuning into the stream today, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow.